You're watching West Wednesday 589, Justice for Tyrone West and Justice for all victims of police brutality. Tawanda, it's all you.
Thank you so much. So, guys, as you tune in tonight, we have a special guest, but we're going to go into our video. Unfortunately, that we play every week when we're on line and whatnot. So, we're going to show that video and we'll come back soon with our very special guest. So, just stay tuned and we'll be right back. Mic check.
Can't stop, won't stop, till killer cops are in cell blocks. Can't stop.
The following video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up.
No, why you want to say that? Why would you say that? That's
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz. In a video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one. Concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly, picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, Sid, what's wrong with it? Improper way with it. There's no such thing as an improper way.
You gonna tell me my job, bro?
I know the law.
Are you gonna tell me the law?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the law?
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration?
Yeah, let me get it up.
Profile, y'all use the seatbelt as a reason. Profile.
Do me a favor, take out your keys.
Yeah, you can record. For what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call a supervisor? I won't do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now.
Yeah? And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we're getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardes Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July the 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 or 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they could never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
A mic check.
Mic check.
Mic
A
check.
mic check.
Mic check.
Awesome. So thank you guys for tuning in. Tonight I told you we had a very special guest, even though I don't welcome anyone to join the club that we never signed up for. Our special guest, Miss Curry, the auntie of Derek Clark, did not sign up to be in this club that nobody wants to be in. And my heart goes out to his mother, Sarah, and the whole entire family. This was a human being, a young 24-year-old man that was brutally murdered on June the 18th in 2022. And as I think about the number 18, my brother was murdered July the 18th in 2013. And the craziest part about it all, both were traffic stops. Minor traffic stops should not lead into people being brutally murdered. It's heartbreaking, it's devastating. And my heart is like really going out to this family. And I just want to bring, first of all, before I bring and let our beautiful queen, Miss Curry, speak, I just want to first of all say, I know words can't comfort you, you know, it comes from a loving space and place, but my heart really goes out to you and your family. And I'm here to be that support system you need. We're sending love all the way from Baltimore, and we have your back. Unfortunately, this is a family that we never signed up for, but guess what? We're here for it for the long run to get accountability for our loved ones. So, no further ado, my queen, whatever you want to share with us tonight, please feel free to share. Mic check.
Thank you so much for having me, and appreciate that introduction. It's definitely space no one wants to be in, but I will say that impacted families are what has helped us the most throughout this journey. My family, when it first occurred, we had no idea what to do. What are the things that need to happen? And a lot of impacted families stood up for us and shared with us their experiences and learning from their experiences, assisting us with how to go about things. And we will always be grateful for that. My nephew, when people ask me, describe your nephew, I always have a hard time with that because it seems like it's very cliche, just because he truly was a special human being. He was a very complex person. He loved poetry. He liked writing. He enjoyed talking about philosophy. Listened to all kinds of music. Tupac was his favorite, of course. And he would also listen to Queen, and some old Michael Jackson, and, just a very diverse person. But the main thing that everyone tells me is that he was a good friend. He was at his memorial. We had so many people walk up to my family and say, Derek was my best friend. I don't know what I'm going to do without Derek. And he had all of these best friends, right? That says a lot to who Derek was. But he was that night, we've heard different things. We're in a civil trial right now. So we have named all of the officers that we can name at this point. There will be over 50 of them eventually. We still have not received, 2.5 years later, all of the footage from body cameras. And what we have received, some of it's redacted, some of it's, we don't have other officer names that were there that night. But my nephew was pulled over on June 18th in a minor traffic stop. We hear different things, the reasoning for that. We were told he had his lights off in the parking lot of where he was leaving, and then he turned them on when he, went on the main road. We heard he was not staying in his lane. We heard it was because of a possible DUI. So it's unclear to us exactly, but boils down to a minor traffic stop, misdemeanor traffic stop. When he did, he fled, and when he tried to pull over, and this was only a matter of minutes, police car knocked him into a ditch, his car into a ditch. He got out looking at two police officers ready to shoot and fire in a firing stance. He gets out of the car. He runs the very opposite way, as probably running for his life. I mean, he was running as fast as he possibly can away. And both officers shot at him. And this happened in Milwaukee, Oregon. I always forget to say that because I know this goes everywhere. They shot him in the back as he fled, and then proceeded to ignore his cries for help as he lay dying for 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Left him for 2 hours. And that part, we'll get emotional with this, it's just, he was so full of love. Like, he was the kind of guy that was talking, would be talking to his friends, and they're all sounding tough on the phone and, talking about whatever. And then I'd overhear him say, "Hey, I love you, man. I really love you. You know that, right?" And he was just so full of love that he was, little did we know at the time, because we weren't told this until we watched tapes of what happened. He was surrounded by absolute hate. He was surrounded by over 50 officers laughing, singing, giving each other high fives, slapping each other on the back, talking about, as he lay dying, talking about their top golf date, showing each other their dogs, on their pictures of their dogs on their cell phone. And it's just, we have since met some neighbors that we know were kind of beacons of love there, which help us to know that there were some people that do have love in their hearts. But it's kind of just a layered, complex event that we were told, we couldn't find him. That's why we had to, because, we were saying, why did it take 2 hours? The neighbors are saying it was hours before he was reached. Where was medical? Where was, we didn't know where he was. We couldn't see him, but he was wearing a reflective jacket. So I don't, nothing really made sense what they were telling us in the beginning. We heard that they were calling him names, and we asked, why were they calling him names? Oh, and we were told nobody ever called him a name. They called him sir. And I will never forget that comment from an investigator that's on record in their department, because I scoured that footage looking for one time that they called him sir, and there was not one time. They had a racist meme on their computer in their police car as their desktop background. They were so blatant about the things that they said. They called him racist inferences like old boy. They compared him to a maybe still warm dead deer. And, the fact of the matter is they had a drone flying directly over where he lay, almost 15 minutes, if that, after it occurred. And they had their eye on him and they watched the blood leave him, and they still did nothing. Derek, we were also told that Derek never said a word. And my sister and I just had a feeling that just wasn't the case. So again, looking through the footage, and my sister and I are we're like detectives. We have to know. We have to know for ourselves. We have to see everything for ourselves. We have to go through it over and over. So no matter how traumatizing, we know at least, in part, most of what happened that evening. But about at 1:11, he was shot at 12:58. 1:11 a.m. you can hear him yell for help in the background, and it's an agonizing voice that is in my family's mind every day that we hear that. And it was ignored. One of the officers heard it and said, "Did you hear that? Is that somebody yelling help?" Another officer, the shooter, actually, one of the shooters stated, "Oh, it sounds like shut up." Like he was inferring that they should be quiet about it. And it's truly been a nightmare trying to figure out what went down. And there's so many things that we are having to fight for change, really, and that change is what he wanted. He was also a community mentor. He worked with kids in prison, in jail. He, worked for an organization that assisted those kids, as well as many other, mental health type of counseling and mentorship kind of thing. So we know that he's with us all of the time. We feel his presence. We know what we're doing is the right thing to do. And that's to try to hold police accountable. A grand jury convened, and they did not present, the Department of Justice did not present all of the facts. For instance, they did not present that he called out for help and that he was ignored. Their statements from the officers in the grand jury stating things like, he pointed a gun right at me. He had a gun in his right hand, according to them, when he got out. It was never raised, never aimed, never pointed, never. It's very clear in the footage that never occurred. And then it was stated that he was starting to run right towards me when he was running the absolute opposite direction. So it makes you feel like you're in the twilight zone. They can say whatever they want to say. And as long as they have, fear for themselves with all of their protective gear, right? And all of the things that we don't have. And they were so fearful that they laughed and joked and turned their back on where he was at. And, it's just baffling to me that they get away with not being held accountable for anything. And the Department of Justice took over, but what happened was they basically just took the investigation that had already been started and didn't do their own investigation. We know that because they didn't mention that he called out for help. I don't think they even watched all of the footage, that we had. So it's just been horrendous. We feel like we can't grieve because we still are fighting. We are devastated. Our, entire family is devastated not have him anymore. And having to fight for justice like we do. And all of the lies, I mean, just straight up inaccuracies that we were told in the very beginning, it's just, makes us feel very jaded and don't know who to trust. We have a great attorney now. We did not at first, and that's, one reason. I know the comment that, we have to be, civilians need to become detectives. I agree with that comment. Our attorney at first did not do what we now know that she should have done, which is really reviewing the footage, going through it with a fine-tooth comb like our attorney does now. And it was kind of left to us in the beginning to figure out what happened. And again, we still don't have all of the body cam footage. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that we want to change. Today was a heavy day for many people, including us. Sorry, getting a cold, unfortunately. And we still have to focus. It just kind of, we got a text, my sister and I, from our attorney that says, remember that staying silent doesn't create change, basically, and that's really the only thing that's certain about that, is that if we stay silent, there's never going to be change.
They never will.
So we don't care who's in office and who. It just makes us pivot our direction a little bit, maybe, and we move a little bit differently in how we tackle some of the things that we want to change. For instance, I'm in Washington, my sister's in Oregon. Those are blue states. We have to take advantage of that and have whatever we can, go through the state process. But yeah, it's just a heavy heart, when you're trying to make change and you have someone that's just directly, against that, wanting to give all officers immunity. That was just elected. It's just a slap in the face, but it will never stop us. We will never stop. He would do the same for us. He would never stop.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to commend you, and I also wanted to even commend the attorney that you have, because we fought so hard. And like in my brother's case, I literally had to take my name off of the settlement because they tried to gag me immediately. And they said, oh, well, you can't call out the officers' names and you can't do that. And immediately I knew that forced silence condones violence. The more you're quiet about it, it's going to keep on happening. And the way a murder is set up is to as though they make it seem like these are isolated incidents when it's systemically happening all over. And it's just disgusting. And the fact, you hit so many key points. The fact that they always blame the victim, that's one, for their own demise. And then another point that you made was just how dirty this system is. You didn't like say it like that, but I'm just saying it. And then the fact that today, when I woke up, and that's why my cold is kicking in, because I've been stressed literally with this election, and a lot of people saying, oh, well, it wasn't about race. I had like so many people coming for me today because I post like, that piece of crap isn't my president, and he's not, and but the fact that people's like, oh, this is not about race, it's absolutely about race. It's absolutely about a capitalist society that doesn't give a damn about us. Let's be crystal clear, but we all know that race plays a part of everything. Like if this was a black person in office doing all this devastating, horrible stuff, it wouldn't even be said. Like at the end of the day, you have a felon running a murder, running the United States of America. You know what I mean? You have this felon. So right now, I feel as though that anybody that applied for jobs, they shouldn't even ask that question, are you a felon, or apply for housing, any type of assistance. That question should be eliminated starting today. The day you put a racist piece of crap that says, I'm going to give Any officer that murdered George Floyd, Derek, Tyrone, Timothy, the list goes on, right? Full immunity. Anthony Anderson, the list goes completely on. But you're going to give them full immunity. But meanwhile, we are suffering and pain. Like I've been suffering literally for 11 years, never grieve, never grieve. And it's so devastating and traumatizing. It's just so sad. And I wanted to share something because I know I see a lot of questions and comments, and I'm gonna bring Talia on to read them. But I just wanted to say, like, America just proved us right again because the simple fact that they did not want to place a black woman into office. That breaks my heart. That's why I say women, just like Malcolm X said it. I didn't say it, but I agree. Women are the most disrespected and unprotected beings in America. Let's be crystal clear. We have no one to fight for us. And then seeing women be overqualified for different positions, but yet not chosen, speaks in volumes. Speaks in volumes. So it don't even matter how much. And I like every black woman, I read that. Like I've been reading so much of stuff online, like, and it's just been touching my soul. And I read one quote today that said, every black woman can say that they had an experience where they know that they were overqualified for something, but they wasn't chosen. And that is real. And then the fact, guys, I wanted you guys to know Derek was an African American man, but they didn't know he had a Caucasian family. That's where they messed up at. They had no idea who Derek was or who he was tied to. That is very disgusting. And he also was killed on Juneteenth, a day where black folks around the world, because we don't celebrate the 4th of July. Let's be crystal clear. We do not celebrate, or I don't celebrate the 4th of July. I celebrate Juneteenth. I remember like growing up just traditionally, like, oh, doing cookout. But no. For celebrating our freedom did not kick in, and then it's unfortunate. It's not even like it's just sad. Like we're in sad times, and I feel like our freedom has never ever kicked in because freedom to me is every person in America can have the same sense of peace, knowing that I can wake up and I will not be murdered by a law enforcement officer or someone from community violence, and I'll have the same rights. And I wanted to share this with you guys, and I found this, and this was something that a black podcaster wrote. Give me 1 second, okay? And but a black podcaster said this, and I had to write it down. It said, it's a master class in white privilege. He can't say enough racist things to be a racist. He can't fail enough times to be failure. He can't say enough of stupid things to be called stupid. The idea of him overshadows its promised protections of whiteness. And that is very true. Like I took out some other parts that didn't need to be said, but those were the things that resonated in my soul. This white supremacist society that we live in, that we have these white folks that are privileged to do whatever they want to do, and no one's addressed it. They can say anything, do anything, and it's never addressed it. And on this day, I want to also keep in mind and tell everybody to keep our brother Tyree Moorhead, because he was executed 2 years ago on this day, gunned down, shot 14 times. 14 times, and he was the man that started the no shoot zone. He would go around and he would tell the people in the community, let's not kill each other. And everywhere somebody was murdered, this man would take his time, take him, his wife, his family, and they would go and they would spray paint no shoot zone. And the crazy part about America, he was gunned down by a racist cop, a white cop, that literally stalked him on Facebook, showed up at his home. Tyree knew his rights. They used everything that he was going through. See, what happens with the internet, they watch everything you do. Let's be crystal clear from the time you wake up. Whatever you say and want them to know, they're going to know that, and they're going to use that to their advantage. So that's what they did with him. And the crazy part, he only carried this knife around his car. whatever. But a traffic stop should not lead to someone being murdered. And he got pulled over. They knew he had his machete in the car because he had posted several days before, we're talking about his machete. It was just a knife. And then literally they told him, get out the car, you got any weapons. He gets out with the machete. They're telling him, get down to the ground. They didn't say drop the machete. That would have been a simple, easy, no-brainer. He was doing what he was ordered. Get down to the ground. He's going down with the machete, and they shot him 14 times in cold blood. And our people are now setting back. Somebody that fought for the community. That's like me getting murdered. No one's doing nothing. It's so sad. We need to tighten up. If this does not show us America, and they put a racist piece of crap back in office to uphold racism, to uphold everything. And everybody wants to say, "Oh, it's about money." And he's like, and I was so disappointed that I've learned that so many African people voted because they're like, "Oh, we want to, make sure our money." It's like, what? First of all, y'all have no idea of what y'all did. Ain't that much of wanting egg prices to go down in the world, wanting a $1,200 stimulus check or whatever you want. When this maniac that slept on COVID had the nerve to call it a Chinese disease. He's such a racist. He don't have no whole card. And you guys like that? That's what we want for America. But he's representing America. He's representing it absolutely. But I can go on forever and I won't. But I just want to bring those points up and send love to Tyree Moorhead family. We should be out in the streets right now holding that brother name up. But it's just sad. Like we can just keep telling people just business as usual. But guess what? We ain't going nowhere. The same way I'm holding up Tyrone West, Derek Clark, Anthony Anderson, I'm holding up Tyree Moorhead, and we will never let you forget what you did. Mic check. Let's go and check in on Clear with all the questions and comments. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yes, many mic checks tonight. Bruce saying, "Good evening, all." Mic check from me, Judah, Bruce, Descartes, AC Britt, and Angela. Maine, as well as Linda. AC Britt said they always take the most talented and beautiful ones. Nakaya said, "Mic check." Bruce said, "Peace." AC Britt said they are disgusting and deplorable for that lack of humanity. They are bullies, and they weren't calling him sir. The cops are basically men who suffer arrested development and act like juveniles. I commented, "Shame on all those killer cops." Descartes commented, "Those officers need to be locked up." AC commented, "Unfortunately, civilians need to become the detectives because the quote-unquote real detectives look for ways to cover up police brutality. This behavior she is describing is sick and twisted." AC Britt also commented, "They don't have fear. That's just part of the handbook they pass around to all of law enforcement to use those gaslighting terms." AC Britt also commented, "We all know full well the narrative they use nationwide. They all use the same terminology and lies. Feed that narrative to the public via the mainstream media is disgusting." I commented, "Silence is deadly. We always have to call out this racist system. They'll make up rules and break them when it suits their interests." Bill commented, "My deep condolences for the tragic loss. Many arms of the system, like the Department of Justice, as you mentioned, pretend to be striving to make things better, but are the opposite, enablers of police murder." And I just wanted to ask, too, for you, Miss Carey, if you have any special or cherished memories of Derek.
There's just so many. I don't even know if I would be able to point to one. Every conversation with him was a deep conversation. That's the kind of guy he was. I was remembering something this late last night. I think a lot of us didn't get much sleep last night. And in my mind, I kept hearing Derek the first time around that this occurred. I remember speaking with Derek about how shocked I was, about how I was just simply shocked. I mean, I had no words for the fact that that guy was voted in as a president. And he laughed, and he had the best laugh ever. And he said, "How can you be shocked about that?" And I'll always remember that because it changed a lot of things for me and how I viewed a lot of things as a white woman. Something that he really guided me to fight for him. And I know that sounds crazy, but I help, I'm in Spokane, Washington. I helped during all of the George Floyd protests. I'm a community advocate. So I helped organize those. And again, spoke to Derek about that. And I just remember him being so proud of me, you know, and he said, you're going to have to do that forever. This is not just a George Floyd thing. You're going to always have to do that. You realize that. And I said, yeah, I realize that. And I didn't realize it until now, you know, what it's going to be happening for the rest of my life. Fighting for justice. And so I just, there's just a lot of things probably that he said that I remember the most, you know, and asking him, he helped me with, what do I do as a white woman in these times, you know, and he told me, which I still do, you know, try to do to this day, educate yourself, sit back, don't say a word, and listen to Black leaders. Use your privilege, use it, always use it. And we use it, you know, we use it in however way we can to get information about this case, to make changes. We will use it. And just a lot of those words are going through my head. You know, I woke up this morning and not as shocked. I was still, honestly, you know, a little, but not as shocked, you know, and I just had Derek's laugh in my head, which has gotten me through today, because I wasn't expecting that reaction. You know, I was expecting him to say, I know, can you believe this, blah, 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 you know, but he was like, how could you be shocked about that? You know, really put me in a space that I realized, you know, and also navigating this, you know, this fight for justice, as a white woman is also, you know, we get a lot of questions about, tell me about Derek's experiences with racism. Tell me about, and I just say, that's not my place. That's not my story to tell. That's not my place to tell that story, period. I mean, I don't care if, you know, I go verbatim from what he said. It still is just not my story to tell. So, you know, a lot of learning has happened, a lot of educating ourselves on the system. We have to understand the system. We have to understand how it all works, because that is how changes will occur. You know, learning about, what does the Attorney General do? That person in a lot of states has a lot to do with police policies and procedures. And I just feel, you know, knowledge will be our power even more, with this election choice, because you've got to know the system and to be able to work the system. And you have to find where you're going to have the most impact in the next 4 years. And, you know, for us, it's probably going to be more on the state level is what we will focus on, even though it needs to be across the board, right? But you got to change, you know, your positioning and how you go about tackling these issues.
That it's just like you said, it's just a lot. And I just really feel like, you know, we like see movies and then you find out the movies are about our real life. Like you see The Purge and then you're like, oh, the government is trying to cleanse, and then you go through it in real life. And then it also feels like the games that we play for entertainment, everything that we get entertained by is like not entertainable. It's like, it's sad and disgusting when you overall. It's fun when you're on the other side of just the entertainment piece. But then when reality hit, when it knocks on your door, you get that phone call you don't want. It's a whole nother ball game. And that's disgusting to me. I feel like we're playing the game of life. going along the board, and we were getting little pieces and bits of ways, right? Close to the, somewhere. That's positive, that's good, that's safe place. And then all of a sudden now it's like go back to start. When they put that joker back in office, that was one of those y'all go back to start moments. That's disgusting. Like, and I really feel some type of way, like, and I'm trying not to let it like overtake me, but it's really disgusting. Like, you get so far and you're like, oh, you're feeling good, you're feeling optimistic, you're feeling all this stuff, right? You're feeling like, oh my goodness, finally we're going to get close to accountability, and then you get sent right back to start. It's like y'all go right back to start. Like, really? It's just like awful. So, wanted to check in, Khalid, to see if we have any more questions or comments as well.
Yes, a couple more since Miss Carey spoke. Linda said, "Thank you for sharing and pushing on." And Hillary said, "Yes, we white folks do need to listen and use our privilege for change. Can't stop, won't stop. Much respect and love for you both."
Yes, awesome. And I like Miss Curry, what you said about using a white privilege. Definitely, you know, I'm glad that I'm in contact with so many white folks that really love me and that knows that they have to, like Boone, my brother Boone said, put skin in the game. And that's their complexion. You have to have to me, I call it the connection, the right complexion for the connection. Because it just said like literally I'm going through something where as though it's my nephew, my brother's youngest son. He's incarcerated right now. Why? Because he had a mental breakdown when his father was brutally murdered. And now he's fighting for his life again. So when I call as his auntie, as someone that has power of attorney, legal documents over him, they won't tell me anything. But I get one of my white girlfriends to call, they start spewing everything. So and like I said, it feels good as a Black African American woman to have white privilege, in the game that protects me. Like when we go shut down the streets of Baltimore, anytime we can ride up a one-way street and I'm playing F the police and I'm all out, just like being heard and just feeling some type of way as we should, about these killer cops. Like it feels good to know, okay, they not going to just run up on me because I know I couldn't do that by myself. Like I know I couldn't do that. I still had folks showing up at my door front trying to intimidate me, vandalizing my property, doing all types of stuff. Like somebody just pulled the rug up on my porch. Like who does that? Like really? Like foolishness. But it's not going to stop me. When they do stuff like that, it lets me know how powerful I am. And I just want to let you know, my queen, we're here to support you and my beautiful sister, Sarah, in any which way we can. Is there any way that we can help you? Is there anything you want us to do that we can collectively do, for you guys? And, just to extend our help, hope, or anything.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And one of the things that does help us in our healing is reaching out to families that have this happen to them as well. Unfortunately, it continues to happen so much that we immediately try to reach out once we can see a family member on Facebook or what have you. What can we do to help? And just giving advice. And the stark contrast between how police treat an African American family compared to white family is very evident. I have seen it myself in various situations that they're telling me about. Why are they calling my whole family in to ask about his background? And they're just trying to find dirt on whomever they killed, right? But yeah, I think it's just important to, like Hillary said, we've got to make those calls sometimes. We have to work the system because that's how the system works. And even though it's not right, we need to take advantage of whatever we can do to get information and assistance to other families.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. Definitely agree. And I know this is traumatizing, and I know it's still fresh because 2 years probably seemed like 2 days because 11 years seemed like 11 days with me, and it's been a whole while. And like anything is, traumatizing, it's triggering and everything. And I just urge you and your family, if you haven't already, I had to, go to the Roberta house, and that was for counseling when my brother first was killed. First, I didn't want to even hear about, like, why do I have to go see a counselor? Like, oh no. But then when I went, I didn't even want to get out of being counseled. Like, it was so epic for me and like so touching. I was able to journal, like write down my thoughts, and I still go back and I look at that journal from when my brother first was murdered, and I would write down stuff because for the first 60 days I could not talk. I didn't speak. Like, immediately we started West Wednesday. We were literally out there the next day, and I always let my uncle or my cousin speak up for my brother. But then it was like a lion came down to me, and I'm like, ain't no way in hell I'm gonna let somebody tell my big brother, who was like a father to me, that raised me, story when I was the one, everything. I'm not saying the rest of my family wasn't, but I know how close me and my brother was. Like, literally, he bought my vehicle the night he was murdered. He was supposed to go and pick my daughter up from work, who was working, my oldest daughter, she was working her first little McDonald's job. And he was like, he just wanted, oh, sis, I'll go get it. He was just happy because I had a Mercedes Benz or whatever. He's like, oh, I get to push the Benz and all this stuff, not knowing something that he felt comfortable in was going to get him targeted and murdered by a serial killer, a repeat violent offender. And it's disgusting. And then as for my brother, Ruiz, the one that I showed in the video, he was the first one to start killing my brother. But he's married to Michelle Battle in the state prosecutor's office, actively to this day. And then we wonder why we can't get accountability from our Evans Bates office. It's disgusting. And now, meanwhile, we're waiting because the medical examiner's office, they pretty much lied and said my brother died of a heart attack. I'm sorry, my phone is blowing up. But they said that my brother died of a heart attack and dehydration when he was murdered. And I literally just had to dig inside of my pocketbook and get out $50,000 that no one never gave me back my money. Took money from my children, took money from my savings account to get the truth about what happened to my brother. Like, you're not gonna murder my brother, make me and my family wait 154 days to give us a partial autopsy report that said Mr. West died from a bad heart and dehydration. Like, no, we ain't doing that. Mm-mm. So I just want
And
to
I have
commend you and tell you, keep fighting, keep fighting. And then I wanted to ask anybody, because I respect your time and I know you're in different time zones and I appreciate you. But I want to ask anybody on the West Coalition side that's in the green room, do you guys want to share or ask our sister anything right now that's in reason that she can answer? Or just give her compliments and love. My check.
And I just wanted, if I can just address that medical
Oh,
examiner piece, that's one that I'm
oh,
going to be working on. We had two police officers in the autopsy room with my nephew. And I can only imagine the conversations they had, because at that time they were saying that Derek was shooting at them and all these things. It's absolutely preposterous in lethal force shootings that they have police officers in the autopsy room. And that's something I'm going to be fighting. And I'm going to start with, the board, the medical examiner's board, because if we do it there to change things, it has to change every state. They have to abide by the board. And then lethal force, there should always be a secondary autopsy performed every time. We were lucky because we had Colin Kaepernick's organization, Know Your Rights. They are who did Derek's second autopsy. And there is a little difference there that I can't really speak on right now, but the original medical examiner said he died within seconds. So that will tell you something. He called out after, 10, 15 minutes. So we know that's not the case. But I just wanted to put that in there. Anyone that we had asked about how do we get a second autopsy? We knew we needed to have that, and everybody thought we were crazy, and always do that. That's one of the first things I say to families. Second autopsy Colin Kaepernick, if you're not able to get one yourself, because like you said, it's thousands of dollars. I think it was $20,000 for a local medical examiner, and they refused to do it because they didn't want to go to court on it about it.
Yep.
So I just want to shout that out there. That organization was so amazing to us. They did everything. They did all the coordination. They flew him, to Kansas City, Missouri. We had a pathologist that has over 40 years of experience. So reach out to Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights and let other families know that. They offer free autopsies for anyone that has been killed by police.
Yeah, I heard, and I'm glad you mentioned that because the Hellabacks, they were telling me about that because I think they reached out to them to see if they could even give me back my money. Like at this point, I definitely need my money back. But just imagine if you had to do that yourself. Like I had to get my brother flown out. I had to pay it was 25,000 for the initial second autopsy, but then it was like $1,000 to have him flown. Then it was like for the disinterment and the reinterment was another $20. Like, it was so much money, and I'm like, God damn, it didn't even cost this much to bury my brother. Like it was ridiculous, and it was designed by nature to make me exhaust all my funds so that way the truth won't come out. And I was to the point I will walk this earth with steel toe boots on butt naked to find out the truth about my brother. Like you're not going about to play me. Like whatever I gotta do, I'm going to do it. like they play games. Like just imagine they're telling you, oh, you have to get the permit. I didn't know you needed to get a permit to have your brother's body examined. Like I didn't know none of this stuff. Like you said, it's said that we have to become investigators. We have to do all this stuff. And I'm glad you mentioned the part too about the police. I actually heard that two of the officers that murdered my brother was sitting there with David Fowler and Pamela Southpaw while my brother's body was being worked on. Literally, like you got the officers that murdered. Mind you, when my brother was murdered, two of the officers jumped in, the ambulance that did not go off fast speeding in the emergency because my brother was dead at Kenmore and Tellsway. There was another way to cover their hind parts. They jumped in, those speeding lights. The hospital's 3 minutes away. Good Sam. It took them damn near 30 minutes just to pull up to a 3-minute hospital around the corner. And then two of the cops that murdered my brother, mind you, was 17 killer cops on one unarmed man. 17 to 18 killer cops. They beat and tortured my brother, pepper sprayed him, tased him, kicked him, batons, steel toe boots, the whole 9 yards. No man alive could have survived a beating like that. It's just disgusting. And then we think about George Floyd with Derek Chauvin, knee in his neck. We had David Lewis, a 340-pound man, pressing down as my brother was dying, gasping for air, as the witnesses said, dying on my brother's neck. And they wonder why I'm on all of their necks. I'm on every last one. I might call out one or two, but I'm on Lottie Dottie and everybody. But everybody's going down for this. I don't care how many years it takes, but I'm just glad you guys are working for it. And and I'm glad you guys have found trusted people that y'all can instill y'all trust in, because literally for my family, they was trying to send my family down dead in rows from day one. But it was just that sister instinct. I am my brother's keeper instinct that literally, like when the investigators came, then they were interrogating my family. They literally were trying to find out answers why my brother was beat to death. We didn't get a phone call. He had my green Mercedes Benz, all my information, my ID, school badge hanging up in my car. No one called me. I had to see it on the news. But my whole point is they come in and interrogate, hey, what's your name? Where do you work at? Like, why the hell y'all asking us questions? And I have them all on tape. Yes, I do. And I played it for a press conference that I did when I got my brother's body exam. Like y'all not, then they told and the crazy part says they told me and my family what my brother's autopsy was going to say before it was even done. They're like, oh, we got your brother, Mr. West. He's down at the medical examiner's office right now. They, around 2:30 today, they're going to do an autopsy on him. And they said, we just want to make sure Mr. West didn't have a bad heart. He wasn't dehydrated because it was really hot outside yesterday. And literally 154 days later, you want to come back and tell us foolishness that you told me before my brother body was even, they already had y'all stuff locked up. They were covering their butts, and that's exactly what they do. And it's each case, it's a different victim's name, but the same game, the same story. And it's horrible when it's happening. And y'all can clearly see it's not a Baltimore thing, a Cleveland thing, or wherever you live at thing. It's a worldwide thing. It's disgusting. And I'm just glad that you brought that up, my queen. So I seen Uncle Bill wanted to say something real quick before we go to the final questions, and I promise you, sis, we'll wrap it up. Mic check. Uncle Bill, you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to thank you, Carrie, for joining in on West Wednesday this evening. It's very good to have you here, and I really admire your stick-to-itness. There are a lot of cases where an impacted family does a lot for a while, and they kind of lose hope and become inactive. So it's always great to see someone who's sticking with it and pushing on for accountability nonstop. So thank you for that work. And it's important work, in my opinion, because the rate of police killings today is far higher than the rate of lynchings during the Jim Crow period of U.S. history. So it's important work, and good that you're doing it. Mic check.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yes,
We truly will never stop. And they will try every tactic that they can to tire you out, to delay court, to delay getting you documents that simply have officers' names on them that were there that night. They will continuously do it, and it's just not going to work for us. I understand. I have a very strong family, so I'm very lucky in that we all are fighting together in this, but I cannot even imagine what it's like for somebody that doesn't have that, and isn't by themselves doing everything. And also Derek had his ID on him. We were not notified until 47 hours after he was killed. He had his ID in his front pocket with his mother's address on it for that specific reason. If something happened to him, he wanted his mom's address on his ID. And they didn't do it until we called over and over.
Yeah, that's disgusting. And that's what they do. They hide it. And even though my brother had his ID on him, they listed my brother as a John Doe. Like, how the hell you a John Doe with your ID on you? How the hell does, after you get murdered and then we go sit down with the detectives 2 days later, someone breaks in my brother's home doing it said it looked like a home invasion, a raid. The landlord said it looked like a raid because it was no forced entry. He still wondered how the hell they got in there. And then you go to rob the place, but yet you set all my brother belongings out and you mess up and you drop his ID card. And I'm the key holder. I am my brother's keeper. I'm the one who found it. Like I'm said, this is not the West Coalition. It's Tawanda Jones who believes in Jesus Christ. God sent me there. God is directing my path each and every day. Believe that. So I see my brother Brian. Do you want to say anything before we go to the sad list?
I just wanted to ask Ms. Miles, did you mention your nephew was a poet, liked poetry? Did he write poetry, or was he, or did he make any sort of art? Because we're currently kind of working on an exhibit of art by victims of police brutality, and we'd certainly be interested in anything that he had produced that you might be willing to share on some level.
Yeah, so he didn't necessarily write poetry, but he did write in a journal. And so I would love to share some of those journal entries with you. Some of them, it's like he always knew this was going to happen. That's probably a lot of African-American people feel that way. But, he wrote journals saying, if something happens to me, I want this to, detailing how he felt and how he went about life, just feeling so conflicted about different things. You're wanting to change things, and you're up against the most brutal thing imaginable for a Black person, So I would love to share those journal entries with you.
Awesome.
I will send them to you for sure. They had a installment at an art museum in Portland, Oregon, and they featured
Awesome.
his journals there. So
No, definitely appreciate you, and sis, I'm gonna keep you, updated because we're coming up on our 900th West Wednesday soon, and we're trying to like collaborate with like artists, like other big, not just like we were gonna display. My brother Brian came up with the brilliant idea, like let's just not just like focus on Tyrone West. My brother loved to paint, like he could paint a beautiful picture of you, Derek, like the whole entire family within a day. Like that's how brilliant he was. Like his work is amazing. And we're gonna post that, but we're gonna also share like other victims' talent, and it's just sad so many gifted people have been murdered and just stolen, lives gone for no reason. And their legacy will live on. So I just wanted to thank you, and I'll keep you updated. And if maybe possible, maybe you guys can fly in or something like that, or come via like live through Zoom or something like that. So I'll keep you posted with all the details as we go on to that moment.
that sounds great. Thank you.
Tawanda, I think you meant to say the 600th West Wednesday is
Oh,
coming.
I'm sorry, Lord, my mind gone. I'm sorry. Yeah, the 600 West Wednesday, 600. Because I'm thinking about we couldn't get close to 900 weeks soon. So yeah, the 600 Westlands, because we did something really big for the 555. We did this big protest. It was like a car pool and everything, which I feel like, the government sent somebody because it was interesting that, and I thank God that I didn't get killed because we had over 40 cars following us, and our path was supposed to literally go like we started at the police station where my brother was murdered, and then like a place that we wanted to have this like police brutality monument for like all the victims to grieving families to be at type of thing. And we like we're all riding around, and I'm jamming and I'm doing my thing after police, and we're just chanting songs and things like that. And a prosecutor hits the vehicle right directly in front of me. My sister that's airing right now, like her car was like, and I thank God she wasn't killed. She could have been killed. Her car was total on impact. Like it was real bad. Knocked her all the way into somebody's driveway. I'm not making it up. And then the guy gets out. He's way in the left lane. How the hell you get all the way over to the right lane? And we're going to a funeral. We're driving really slow in the right lane, hazard lights on, and you come from the left lane and you knock her. But I think I was the intended target because thank God it didn't hit me because I would have flew out. I'm already out. My brother's been vehicle, like yelling, singing and chanting and, just trying to do the best we could. And but God is good. That's the type of foolishness and retaliation that we go through. That's why I'm making points because I want people to take careful notes. This stuff is real. This stuff is real. You can't make none of it up. Yeah.
I've heard similar, and it's definitely real. Definitely real.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, my queen, I want to thank you. So, we're gonna one last time check in to see if there's any more new comments or questions, and then I see Brother Brian, and I'm going to see if he has the sad list for the night, and then we'll go into that sad list, so we'll wrap completely up. Mic check.
Mic check. Yes, more comments. One from Hillary says, yes, Dan reached out to Kaepernick's program, but they said the case was too old and they wouldn't reimburse Tawanda for the additional autopsy. Judah said, even if they won't reimburse Tawanda, I would love to see Kaepernick's program amplify Tyrone's case. AC Britt said, yes, Judah, and yes, we've been through all of the same things. Maine said, horrible, shaking my head. Judah said, Miss Miles, is there anything we can do to support you and your family in terms of funding, letter writing, or anything else? And AC Britt also came in with the correction on the 600th West Wednesday coming up.
Yeah, just to answer that, we're going to have a big fight after our civil trial is settled, because the main thing we want is for those officers to go to jail for what they did. We want a new grand jury trial. We want everything presented to a grand jury. Sadly, I think we actually had a pretty good group of people in that grand jury session because I was able to read through the transcripts. They're asking all of these good questions, like how was he running towards you again? I don't see that in the video. But they were just tied to the system. So we'll have a big push with the Department of Justice after the civil case is finalized, and we'll need a lot of help then. As far as my sister and I really would love to be able to travel more to see impacted families. Our finances don't allow us to do that. So any kind of help is, my sister has on her page, and I believe it's on the Justice for Derek Facebook page. That's where to go if you can like that page. We have also a Twitter, an Instagram, and a TikTok, Justice for Derek Clark. Most information is on the Facebook page. So if you could go like that, that would be helpful for us. But yeah, stay tuned. We'll have a call to action. We're just kind of in the trial phase. There's not too much we can do, but we just want everything to come out. We want the case to proceed. We want our case. We don't want a settlement. We are in that civil case so that we will have a record for other families to use. They'll be able, when people settle, it means that entire court case is not going to be on record for someone to be able to reference down the line. And we want this reference forever, right? What happened to him. We want people to be able to go back and reference this case. So I appreciate that question. We will have more of a call to action once the trial, but for now, liking the pages helps us, and interacting and sending, helpful comments or just nice comments to us. We hear a lot of horrible things. So that helps us as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, Derek's name, Derrick, and then Clark, Clark. So Derrick, Clark, Clark.
Awesome.
And it's Justice for Derek Clark.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I wanted to mention that I saw the video that your sister shared, and it made me so happy and sad at the same time. It was him and her singing Easy E, and I was like, oh, that's my favorite song, old school, and it was so cute and touching. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. So I'm just sending you guys much love, prayer, and just let us know when the call to action occurs, and we are right there with you guys. Definitely.
Yeah, he was having those videos, and even on his phone, he had so much that he recorded we didn't know of our family. It's so precious to us because it's, it helps to look through those and remember. He loved his family so much. He loved all of us. He was a kind of nephew that would hold my hand if we were sitting on the couch together chatting. Just the sweetest, most loving man, really. There's a lot of moments like that, fun moments with him that we can look back at too.
It just breaks my heart every time. It seems like they always steal the best from us. Because I can just, like you said, with your nephew hearing his laughter, I could still hear my brother's laughter. He had this big, beautiful smile, laughter, joy whenever he would crack up, he'd say little stuff, and it's just devastating. But it's something no one can ever take out my heart. So. So again, thank you. And if you have to drop the call now, I appreciate you, and I will share this with you as well. And that way you can share on your page and do whatever you want for it. And just thank you guys so much. And right now we're gonna go to our say list that we do, but I respect your time. So if you need to go, that's fine. And thank you so much, Miss Miles. We really appreciate you. We're sending you nothing but love, and life. And just keep us posted as you guys go along the way. We're here for the long haul.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah. So, Brother Brian, I want to check in. Do you have a sad list tonight?
Yes, I do. We just have 3 names, but we have names.
Okay. All right, well, I don't have my disclosure in front of us, but I'll just say it briefly. Um, it is the mission of the West Coalition not to like start conflict and things of that nature. It's our mission to spread love and hope and light. And even though we read names from the community violence list as well as the police brutality list, and tonight we don't have that because we read so many names last week, it was ridiculous. Over 30, I think 38 names or more, disgusting. So, you know, we don't have the national police brutality list, but we do have a few names on our community violence list, and we're just coming from a place of love. We believe in keeping the peace, so we believe that any issue can be resolved through mediation, and we don't advocate violence. We advocate peace. We advocate love, and we're coming from a loving place and spot. And unfortunately, some of the names that we read off, we don't get detailed information about none of the cases or the names, but we do know that there was someone loved one, no matter who their name is, no matter how it may upset your stomach or take your breath away. We know that there's a family that loves that person, and that's all the details that we know. You know, we have no details. I'm sorry, no details about it, but one can gather if it was your loved one, you would only have love for your loved one. So that's all that we know. And we're gonna go to we're gonna take, I'm sorry, 1 minute of silence just for time's sake, and then we'll come back in 1 minute. 1 minute, and Brother Brian, I'm not near a clock, so in 1 minute, can you start the sad list? Mic check.
Yes.
And this is a time if you want to pray, say a prayer. If you're not into prayer, that's okay as well. You can send positive vibes and energies because this could easily be your loved one. We're in real times right now. We need each other. That's all that's going to get us through this love. So 1 minute.
So I'm just going to read off the names, and we also have the ages this week of the people. And like Twanda said, these are all real people who had real families and real lives and friends and coworkers and possibly children, and we don't know, but what we do know is that they're people, they're children of God, they deserved better than what they got, and we read their names not only to uphold their families and friends, but also to rededicate ourselves to the cause of peace and justice here in Baltimore. Amy Armstrong, 28.
Amy Armstrong,
28.
Solomon Wise, 58.
Solomon
Wise,
58.
Sierra Jackson, 39.
Sierra Jackson,
39.
39.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Brian. And I just want to thank our special guest, Miss Carrie Miles. Thank you so much for just being a bold, beautiful queen that you are and sharing. And we are sending prayers and love and dedication and anything that you need. Please use us as that vessel. And I want to thank everybody that commented, that shared and liked tonight. Thank you, guys. We're in some trying times, but I believe that if we all love on each other and work together to knock this system down, like, it has to go. Like, it has to go. That's just the bottom line. Like, I done tried everything, and I'm still working in peace, and I'm still working in love, and I'm still working with integrity. Because as evil as things seem to be in the world, love kills it all. And that's my belief. That's not the West Coalition. That's Tawanda Jones. Love and peace, it really does change things. Like, and it's the time right now we have to love on each other, take self-love for yourself. Like, everybody need a moment to take care of yourself, because if you can't take care of no one if you can't take care of yourself. And don't take no one for granted. I appreciate everybody that's sending me love, showing me love, that's in my life right now. I just want to thank y'all. Just know that y'all are valued and appreciated. Thank you for your time. Unfortunately, the way we started this video off, we showed you Killer Ruiz, one of the first people that started murdering my brother. I want you guys to stay tuned to the very end. I want you to share it. And most importantly, we need to think about what we can do to stop this. It has to stop. How many more names? How many more families? Derek Clark should be here with his family right now. Tyrone West should be here with my family right now. And like my sister said, you know, we were blessed to have a family to come fight for our loved ones, because the West family who had started the West Coalition, it was my family, boots on the ground, before others got involved. And just like Mr. Clark's family, you know, the Miles family is involved in there doing everything they can. But there's some people that don't have that support. But we are your support system. Lean on us, live to love, love to live. I love you all, and we will see you guys next West Wednesday. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No, why you
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges, like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said, police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's attorney see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon me.
And the Officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.